Hey everybody, Tarun Stevenson here for Calmer Classrooms, and in this episode I want to talk to you about the power of the greeting. You know, relationship is so crucial to building good behavior management in class, and I want to show you a really simple, easy technique that you can build relationship fast. Come on, let's get into it. All right, we're going to get into the power of the greeting. And before we do, this episode is brought to you by my free Behavior Management Blueprint ebook and video course. If you'd like to learn how to effectively manage behavior in your class, make sure you download the free ebook and video course today. Link is in the description. So when we talk about behavior management, one of the big conversation pieces or the big topics that is often discussed in behavior management is the importance of relationship. And when I teach my workshops, one of the common responses I get from teachers is, okay, we understand that relationship's important, but the problem is we don't have enough time to build relationship. You know, our days are so busy. We spend so much time trying to teach the curriculum, trying to deal with 30 kids. It's really hard to build meaningful relationship with the students that we teach. And I get it, I really do. Teachers are really overworked, and it's a challenge to really spend meaningful time with each of your students. And so what I want to do is just talk about a couple of quick ways that you can build relationship with your students effectively without spending a lot of time, and it actually is a very powerful thing. And I've titled this episode The Power of the Greeting, because I really believe that if you greet people well, you will actually build rapport effectively, and you will find that the relationship builds itself over time. And this is the thing. There was a study done in Canadian schools where they wanted to research the power of relationship, and understanding that it's difficult for teachers to build relationship, what they did was they asked every teacher to do just a couple of things. The first thing was they were to, every time they passed a student, they were to greet that student by name. So learn their name. The second thing they had to do was ask them how they were. And then the third thing they had to do was pause long enough to wait for a reply. So it would be something like, "Hi Jared, how are you?" And then wait for a reply. Now, these interactions were only 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They weren't long interactions because, you know, most kids, if you ask them how they are, they'll probably say good, or they say, "Yeah, I'm doing all right." Now, it's not the point. The point is not how long they take to answer you. The point is that you stop long enough to listen. You know, I think in Australia especially, we have this habit of using the expression, "How are you?" as a greeting rather than taking an interest in how a person really is. And so let me unpack this for you. What's so powerful about this, and how can you use it in real life? Okay, the first thing is this, the name, learning students' names. The power of the name cannot be underestimated. There's an old expression that says, the sweetest word for any person is the sound of their own name. We as individuals, we are generally focused on ourselves first. And when we hear our name, it makes us want to engage with the person. What it does show is this: if a teacher is willing to learn a child's name and to use their name, it shows that you care about them. You care about them enough to learn their name. You care about them enough to actually see them as a human being, see them as an individual. They're not just another name on a roll or another number on an assessment book, but they're actually an individual that you see and you acknowledge, you know, in the same way that you like to be acknowledged by people using your name. And so when you're using somebody's name, what you're doing is you're engaging that part of them that actually wants to connect with people who seem safe, who seem familiar, who seem interested. And so when you're using someone's name, it makes them relax, it makes them feel like a friend, and it also makes them want to engage with you. When you follow that on by asking, the second thing is, "How are you?" You're taking it one step further from, not only do I see you as an individual, but I actually want to know you as an individual. I actually want to know about you. I want to know what makes you tick. I want to know your hopes, your dreams, your fears. And this is really important, that we be able to convey this as teachers, that we actually really care about them as human beings. You know, John Maxwell says this: they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you take the time to ask, how are you? What you're doing is expressing concern for them. You're expressing care for them. And then this is the clincher. The third aspect is really taking the time to wait for the reply, because it's easy to say, how are you? And then walk on by. But when you stop, when you give them eye contact, when you actually pause in your own speech and let them answer, what you're saying is, I'm actually genuinely interested in you. I'm genuinely interested in hearing about what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what makes you tick, and I'm here. Now tell me. What you'll find is that happens as you start to do this on a regular basis. Maybe the first few interactions may be a little bit stilted, or the kids might not respond well, or they might be unsure about their response. But if you do it regularly, what will happen is they will become used to the fact that you ask them how they are, and you will stop and expect a reply. And that will make them start to open up. Over time, they will start to tell you things about themselves. You know, you might learn about what's going on in their home. You might learn about, hey, I played rugby on the weekend and I won. Or you might learn that they have a birthday coming up or something like that. And so what they'll do is they'll feed you little pieces of information. It will start off fairly general, but the more you do it, the more you get to know them, the more personal these bits of information will get. And what happens over time, even though these interactions are only 2 to 3 minutes long, over time, you're going to build a much bigger picture of the individual. You're actually going to learn more about them, what makes them tick, what they care about. And then you can start actually having meaningful conversation, because once you know a little bit of personal information, the next time you see them, you can say, hey, how was that thing we talked about last time? Did you get a solution for it, or has it worked out for you? And so when you start asking more and more personal probing questions, what happens is it deepens the relationship. It deepens the level of care that you show them, and it deepens the level of trust that they have for you. Now, here's the kicker. And this is why I think it's really important that you take the time to do this. Although this is a very small thing to do and it doesn't take a lot of effort to do, what they found in these schools in Canada, that when the teaching staff actually took the effort to learn the student's name, ask them how they were, and wait long enough to hear the answer, they saw an 80% reduction in low-level disruptive behavior. What you'll find is that if you invest just a little bit of time on a consistently regular basis, you will find that it flows into your classroom. Your students will come into your class engaged. They will come into your class happy to see you. They will come into your class wanting to behave and wanting to work with you. And so I just don't want you to underestimate the power of the greeting. Don't brush over it. Don't be too hurried when you're meeting students for the first time. Maybe you meet them at the door, or you see them as they're lining up. Don't be too hurried. Take a few moments to just inquire about them, and you will find that that actually has a significant impact on your ability to build relationship, and it has a significant impact on your ability to manage behavior in your class. I hope that was really helpful for you, the power of the greeting. Hey, if you want to learn more tips like this, don't forget to check out our online course called Behavior Management Essentials. The link is in the description below. It's 4 hours of content of deep dive in behavior management. It's taken from our live workshops, and if you'd like to go deep on behavior management, that's going to be the ticket for you. Okay, until next time, I'm Tarun Stevenson. Don't forget to subscribe if you've enjoyed this, and share it with somebody that you think would benefit. I'll see you next time.